And we are back this week with your Purple Pants podcast, Survivor News Edition. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to join us. It's like, I'm giving very much truth bombs tonight, and I got a lot to say. I am so honored to have some of my Survivor brothers with me. But if you are listening, please make sure you subscribe to the Purple Pants podcast. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. Hit that subscribe button. And if you're on YouTube, head over to Brice Isaiah, click subscribe and thumbs up this video. I want to give a warm welcome to my good friend. Well, actually, not really my good friend, because we were on an Instagram live and he basically was telling me I'm a goat. Welcome to the podcast, Jamal, the goalkeeper.
Nice. Wow. Okay. Shots fired.
Really?
I'm honored. Guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes. And of course, we have to welcome to the podcast. It is not the two knee, but the one good knee person, Wendell Holland. Welcome back to the Purple Pants podcast. How are you?
Thanks, Perp. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. My knee is getting better. I think I'm 2 days post hurting it. So,
Okay. But to the listeners that don't know what's going on with your knee? The 55-year-old knee.
I had a basketball incident where I was going a little too fast for my body. Oh. And when I tried to slow down, the knee went one way, Wendell went the other way. Oh. And I have some kind of tear in my meniscus. Oh. So next Thursday, I'll be getting my MRI, and that'll really determine what I want to do, if I want to just let it self-heal or if I want to get surgery.
The MRI before the X-ray or the X-ray before the MRI?
Oh my goodness. See, you were in my story. So I went to urgent care. They sent me to my primary care doctor. The primary care doctor said I needed to get an X-ray before I get an MRI because of insurance. So that doctor sent me to the hospital to get my X-ray, got the X-ray there. That was an all-day process yesterday. Finally, now that I have my X-ray, I'm able to get my MRI, which was scheduled for next Thursday. American Healthcare.
Okay.
There we go.
Jamal, have you ever tore a meniscus?
Let me tell you something. When I feel for you, I played pickup just the other day for the first time in a long time. I played 2 games. We won both of them, and we were about to play that third game. And I was like, I'm out, y'all. Like, I gotta tap out. I gotta sit down, because if I had played that third game, I'd be right in your spot. So I knew my body wasn't going to be able to handle it. So I get it.
So Jamal, here's the thing, man. I play like 3 to 4 times a week pickup.
Yeah.
I got called for league play. That's a different basketball. When I'm playing with the old heads, we know each other's games. We stay within our zone. I got called to this league game.
What's the difference between a league and a pickup?
Pickup is like you playing with your homies, whatever you call it.
You call your own fouls. Yeah. That whole
take it easy. Nobody's trying to get signed. Apparently people are trying to get signed in this league. So I was playing against some youngins, and we were down a few. Man, Brice, you should have came and spectated.
Drop the Addy. I'd love to come and support.
It's out in Conchi next time. But actually, I'm not playing league play ever again. Actually, my takeaway is I'm gonna stay playing pickup and stay in my lane. And league play, it's just I'm not trying to get signed. Brice's boys are trying to get signed.
Drop them truth bombs, okay? Keep them coming. If you're old, just say that you're old.
Chill. I can still compete.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, we are here to talk all things Survivor. I am so honored that I have the time of these Survivor legends. I'm like, what am I doing in this building with these guys? So without further ado, Wendell, what you got? Break it down.
All right, let's get right into it. So they come back from this tribal council where Liana was voted out. Danny and Deshaun were kind of blindsided by the rest of them. They all wanted to, I guess, take this alliance down a notch, and they succeeded in getting Liana out, a strong player. And Deshaun comes back, and he says to them he didn't expect to get emotional, and he gets his confessional talking about, the extra baggage that Black players bring into the game. And he also said that he didn't blame everybody. Xander says to him what he said was beautiful and eloquent, which it was. just like the stuff Liana said was wonderfully spoken in such a heated moment. And then we get Deshaun and Danny together, and they were saying like they're sad it was her and they got to figure it out. And he said that he knew he didn't have Ricard and Erica, but they thought they had Xander. Because we saw Danny and Xander, they'd have some powwows, they'd kind of get together and share info. They didn't have Xander. What do you guys think about them taking out Liana last week as opposed to others?
Boy, oh boy, bro. I don't know what kind of magic dust Xander has out there right now, but somehow this brother has used and I was wrong. I'll throw up my hands right now and say I was completely wrong. I thought Xander was going to be target number one for a couple of tribals now. But for some reason, this brother can just not be the target, not
just fade away,
not a vote. And this brother has an idol. Like, so this is my recalculation, because I was thinking he was like, you know, enemy number one or at least target number one. But see what's happening. Apparently, I'm just learning from the players. Apparently, they don't think Xander's a jury threat. Like, they think if they can just goat him, right? If they can just drag him to the end and not give him any play, then he will just not be a threat to or tell any kind of story to be compelling. So it must be that Ricard, Deshaun, Erica, they all just think they could sit next to him and tell a better story. That has to be the case, because otherwise, what the heck, man? They just let this dude coast.
Is that a wrong way of thinking, though, Jamal? Considering the jury and considering this historically diverse season.
Right. I guess not. My bad in reading it wrong. I guess not. Right. Like, I thought so at first, like maybe a couple of episodes ago. Right. I thought maybe it was Xander to beat, but it looks like they have a better, you know, finger on the pulse to say like Xander don't have no shot. So let's just take him to the end because he's just riding, you know.
For me, I thought the big takeaway was I love Danny. I just was surprised that Danny would believe that Xander would go with him. I felt like, I know that Danny and Xander had like cultivated a relationship, but I just felt like, you know, in that scene when he was talking to Xander and saying like, it needs to be Ricard. And then when Xander pushed back and said like, well, maybe Liana. And I felt like Danny was like, well, no, it can't be her. I was like, is that good negotiation? Like, I don't think that you shouldn't say it shouldn't be her, even if you don't want it to be her. But the takeaway for me as a viewer felt like, I mean, I clearly just knew that Xander was not going to be with them, but maybe there was more to be shown that they had a closer relationship. But I just felt like I was surprised that they put all their eggs in that one basket.
I got a couple things to say about that, actually, Perp. To your point about being surprised that Danny didn't go with Xander. If we think about Danny's game, the whole game from like
Xander
the beginning,
going with Danny.
I'm sorry, Xander going with Danny, or Danny trusting Xander.
Right.
Danny didn't play a lot of Survivor to start. They were winning everything, right? And through the merge, even like I feel like he was on the right side of things, generally speaking. Yeah. And then like they got out Shan, and then for him to think that, it seems like a lot, and he's very good with people, and it seems like he didn't really have much to not trust Xander. I almost think like they were getting along, and maybe he trusted his word. So I'm not saying he should have absolutely 100% trusted Xander's word, but I'm just saying if you're in Danny's shoes and a lot of the stuff's been going your way in this game, and you didn't learn the hard Survivor lessons too much early on, the ones that Shan and Ricard had to really fight through and grapple with, I think I can understand why he would trust a Xander. Danny's a little older. Xander's this young guy, you know, they're both like almost like jocks or whatever. They're both, you know, they can both, I guess, see each other eye to eye. And then Xander he crossed him.
Right.
But also to Jamal's point about this whole Xander thing and him like fading and nobody looking at this guy with an idol who is very intelligent and all of that.
hold this great move against Liana. Yeah, like I thought he had a story to tell, but I guess they are figuring not.
What I'm starting to think, and maybe I'm reading too far into the edit. Sometimes I think that the game builds up characters to make sure that at the end, whoever's sitting there, somebody looks strong against somebody. If we get Ricard getting to the end and we get a Xander, or even if it's an Erica and a Xander or whatever it is at the end, I think I can really now see Xander getting to the end, but being like a second place finalist, because there's clearly something that the people on the island are seeing that we're not seeing. So in my case, I'm like, all right, these people aren't threatened by this kid.
Right.
They're willing to go to the end with him. Maybe it could be because the jury's so diverse. And if you let one minority squeak to the end, that jury might lean that way. Or whatever it is. I just think that there's something that clearly that we aren't seeing. And I think it has to do with this edit building. I mean, Xander, from our perspective, he's smart. The man can compete. He's good with people.
Zaddy.
He's a zaddy. But I don't know. So the time will tell. 1 week will tell. I mean, we'll see. But shall we move on?
Yeah. I also just wanted to talk about, I feel like after this, there was the conversation with like Deshawn and Heather. And just, she was coming to him after Tribal and just saying like, I had no idea about this, like what you were dealing with. And although I have my own personal opinion on it, I definitely think conversations like they had, and I was glad that Survivor had put the time into a conversation like this, is that like I feel like conversations like this are very impactful and powerful, whether it be on Survivor, whether it be at your work, whether it be like, with your neighbor. I just really liked seeing
that
conversation like that. Like, like despite my own personal opinions on it.
Yeah. So, and we might be able to explore your opinion, but again, this kind of continues our conversation from last week. And you gave me some pushback, some reasonable pushback. And a lot of other people did when I was talking about blind spots. And I said that we were made aware of Heather's blind spot in Tribal. And then you and other people were like, well, some people have purposeful blind spots and they don't choose to look at certain people's paths or struggles. But in this case, we see this other conversation where Heather is talking to Deshawn and she's saying, basically, she didn't know this fight, this struggle that he was going through, and she wanted him to share more. And he then started talking about him and Shan's rocky relationship and how race comes up pretty much in every facet of life. And this is just something that this is something that minorities have to live with. And this is the thing that we walk around with and we have to be conscious of at every moment in our lives. So again, something that the show is showing, this conversation, which I think is an important conversation for people to understand that, people do walk around with this different burden that some people don't ever know about or could never really understand.
Yeah.
So that was an important. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think it's important whether or not. Yeah, I think the conversation to be had is just very important. Just echoing what you were saying.
Mm-hmm. And if I may jump in, I actually really appreciated the conversation that Deshawn and Erica were having, because if you surf the Reddits and the Facebooks at all, there's a lot of conversation about the divide between Black people and the rest of the people of color community. And so that was really powerful to see Deshawn and Erica talking and seeing them both express what it's like to be a person of color on this particular season and the diverse cast. And then for Erica to talk to us about the struggle that she's having about voting out Shan, talking about how most of us, Survivor community and fans want to see a woman winner after 6 straight men winning Survivor, and how that's a part of her identity and a part of her struggle in playing the game out there. So it just goes to show, right? Like there are 8 major identity categories, right? That we all have a place where we sit on them. And so any one of those can be the most salient, the most prevalent, the most important, the most visible for us at any given time. And it's so interesting to see people talk through, right, how that shows up for them in this game, right? Being a woman, being a person who is, differently abled, being a person who is of a minority race, et cetera, fascinating. And I'm loving the storytelling this season.
Yes. And I echo that as well. And I love to just hear the perspective that we don't normally get to hear. And I feel like it not only humanizes people, but it allows for people to just like take their privilege, take their whatever, and just to be able to see it through a lens of Survivor. So I thought that was great. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Thank you, Jamal.
And then if we bring it back to gameplay, though, just to appreciate the fact that there's some people who are like, oh, well, I guess we're going to target the Black players, or I guess we're going to target the women players. Look at what happens, right? Like, yes, this is a part of our game. This is a part of our psyche and our mentality playing the game. But Survivor as a mechanism, right, just plays out in such a way where people are always weighing the group versus the individual. So if you're one of these people on the outside, right, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm threatened by some Black alliance or some women alliance or some whatever alliance, the way to play this game is not to target those people early, but it's just to play Survivor, right? Find the cracks, find other ways to relate, find other ways to connect, find other ways to sow doubt, right? And this is what happened. As sad as it is for me to watch this Black alliance disintegrate, it's actually just the result of Survivor. It's just the result of how this game kind of plays out. And so, I'm all right with it. Like, I'm all right with the way this is playing out.
I 1,000% agree to that. And yeah, I think that, like, to your point of the critics that were saying a lot of oh, this diverse season of no, and one, I love this cast because it is a diverse cast, but why I really love this cast is because these people came to play. And they came to to see Erica in the position of which she is in. And I know a lot of people, for me, I'm all about someone's resume. I'm all about what can you do, what's your end story? Because I look at myself as a viewer and I always want to know what's the tea? Tell me your story. And to hear Erica's story as opposed to hearing a Deshaun story, as opposed to hearing a Heather story. I think that there are a lot of different things at play. To hear Ricard, to hear a Xander, it really, again, I think that Survivor I'm so honored that I got to play the game because it really is a testament to Survivor is just, it's that ish. And, it has a lot of things that affect the real world. And I think that, a part of our issue was that you didn't talk about it. You didn't show it. And as if they were scared of it. And I think that, with this season, they are getting to see that, listen, hey, guess what? You can show what is the real, what's going on and still get an amazing season episode. You get what you still get Survivor. And so I'm glad.
Hey, pause right there. You still get Survivor. Thank you, Brice. Thank you. You still get Survivor. And so much of the criticism, so much of the anger, whatever, is oh, I'm losing the game. I'm losing my show. I'm having to think about all these things. But because these things are present is what gives you the game of Survivor. That's so astute. I think that's so sharp.
Come on. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. We is not about to, so Wendell can hear this. Something that I said was what?
Astute.
Brice, what does astute mean?
It means it's giving what it's supposed to give.
Okay.
It's giving what it's supposed to give, Wen.
It's giving what it's supposed to give. I appreciate it. Sorry for my internet issues, guys. Things happen,
All right.
Wendy's and my Cricket wireless internet, whatever
it's 2020. It's about to be 2022 window, and you still got dial-up internet.
Wow.
Well, we back.
Well.
My internet isn't astute. Okay, so we get into the reward challenge. And this is for grilled chicken and veggies or cake and cookies. What would you guys prefer?
I mean, they made the right choice. Like, come on now.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm sweet like apple pie. Give me the cake.
Although I do have to say, there was a reward challenge. They didn't show this on my season, but we won donuts and coffee, and that stuff was delicious. Like,
so can I ask you?
It was bomb. Like, that was the best donuts I ever had. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it was.
Oh, wow.
Let me ask you a question, Jamal, because I'm always so curious about when you get reward challenges like that. Did it run right through y'all?
Right through. Yo, like aqua dump line, a line for the ocean, Brice. Like we were like, all right, are you done?
Y'all didn't go together. Y'all didn't go together.
No, because if you go together, then the camera has
cameras.
Yes. So you got to go one
strategizing.
After that challenge, it was a line for the ocean for real.
So did you regret it or like it?
Worth it. Worth every glucose, sucrose. Worth it all. I loved it. My body absorbed it in 2 seconds. It was great.
Yeah, we had coffee and we won pastries at one point too, and with every reward things worked. They became very regular.
Every morning at Ponderosa you could get you could get eggs, donuts, any type of pastry that you wanted.
Good to know. So we have this reward challenge. It's a water reward challenge. You got to jump off a net. You got to release some buoys, and then you got to shoot some buckets.
Do some hoops.
So do you need you need 2 good knees to do this, right, Jamal?
I think you need 2 good knees and a wrist. 2 good knees and a wrist. Yep.
My wrist works just fine. My wrist works. You know what I'm saying? The knee right now.
You get away with one. You just got to, there's a lot of strength in that ankle. You know what I'm saying?
True. So, this was a fun one to watch. We had some creative dives, if that's the word that we use for it. It started off with Danny and Xander. They dive and they look good. They look strong. Danny gets to the top, and I think he slipped because his second dive from the top of this platform was kind of crazy.
A little suspect.
It was a Brice dive. For those listening, Brice is acting it out in his hotel room right now. I think he actually really fell off of his chair. So it comes down to the end. So everybody, gets to the platforms and everything. We got a creative Deshaun dive, I think, also. But so we have Deshaun and Danny shooting at the end for their respective teams, and Deshaun hits a bucket. Danny starts shooting some air balls.
Before we get to the buckets, can I just go ahead and say for the record, I appreciate that not being able to swim was not a part of the story for the Black players this season, because for some reason we always get this Black player can't swim storyline, and I'm really appreciative that everybody held their own in the water. So
respect.
Respect. Yeah.
Is it because there were no Black people that couldn't swim out there?
That's what I'm saying. They held their own. They got the assignment, right? Isn't that what the kids are saying these days?
They understood the assignment. Yeah. So they were out there moving.
What is your now that what I'm about to ask is about to receive an immediate Wendell pause, but go past the pause, Jamal. But what is your
Brice? Why are you so close to the camera too?
Listen, the way this condo is set up, what Jamal, don't do that. What I am curious though, Jamal, what is your favorite stroke?
I mean, that's an obvious one, right? Like the breaststroke is the best one, right? Like absolutely. This one right here.
So the breaststroke is like the
that's one not the breaststroke.
That's the breaststroke.
Yeah, you're right.
That's it, right? With the flippers. Yeah,
so,
the mermaid.
What one is this one where it's like, hold on, because I'm in water.
That's freestyle.
Freestyle.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
freestyle. Yeah.
I freestyle. And then what one is this one? Hold on.
What's this one? Oh my gosh.
I don't know what that one is. That's confusing to me.
That's the I'm drowning.
That's the IDL called the scuba divers.
Wait, that's what we didn't want to see on this season.
That's called Dr. Joe. Please come help me.
Okay. All right.
What's all right, Jamal, since you're the swimming expert, what's this one?
Oh,
that's
doggy paddle.
That's straight up doggy paddle, 100%. Yeah, that's mine.
Is there any other swimming strokes?
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Okay.
The backstroke.
That's what I was doing.
Oh,
No,
you
weren't.
backstroke is this one right here. You got to.
Oh, okay. You know what I was doing? You know, on the Olympics when they get to the other side and then they like
go flip. Yeah. Flip and kick. Yeah.
That's what I was giving.
That's what's up.
Sure. Yep. Sure. No, you were perpetuating the black people can't swim stereotype.
How am I going to drown and I'm not even in water?
Oh my God. Jason is flipping right now. Jason was holding it down for us back in the day.
Yeah, with your boy, the Russell we don't acknowledge.
Oh.
Anyway, so we get to this challenge, and at the end, they are shooting hoops into these. They're shooting these little buoys. Let's see that form. Okay, you got the guide hand. See, Jamal knows what time it is.
Elbow, you got to line the elbow.
Yes, Brice. Let's see your form. Oh, no. See, this is why we can't have nice things. So, Deshaun sinks the first one. Danny shoots a couple air balls. I was surprised with that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a football player.
They both did.
Yeah. So then Danny's.
As soon as he was missing them, I was like, that's not his sport. So
fair.
I was all right with that.
And then we get Heather coming out of the water. Maybe she's getting a little tired in there. We get Danny then swapping out with Ricard. Ricard sinks his first bucket, but then our buddy Deshaun goes on to sink the rest. And so they win this food reward. Yeah. Deshaun, Erica, and Xander. Mm-hmm. Yes. And Deshaun is excited to have this powwow with these people. He thinks he could work his way in with them.
I mean, maybe it actually worked in a sense or not.
Yeah. So so they're sitting down together eating, and they say Ricard is the next step. In my head, I'm like, all right, well, Ricard is good at winning immunities. What happens if he wins immunity, huh? They're not having that conversation.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And I just it just comes with like the Ricard and immunity, but like I guess we can get there when we get there.
Yep. Okay. And back at camp,
you might need to get there because I'm seeing a countdown happening.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, Brice. All right. Now, the way we do it is we'll just hit the reset.
Oh, just reset. Okay.
Yeah. And for those watching,
just keep it cute. Okay.
So we're back at camp. Heather and Ricard leave. Danny decides to use this moment to go looking for his idol.
Yeah.
And we have the scene. He's looking around for it. We see the idol, and it cuts to Heather and Ricard back at camp. And we are wondering, is this another scene where, someone's going to find an idol and we're going to get a flashback?
Right. So he doesn't find it, obviously. And I kept thinking like, man, if he had found it, I wonder if he would have known to play it for himself. Or if he would have tried to be cute and play it for Deshaun. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
He'd play it for himself.
They tied it up though, right? So he had to have played it for himself for Deshaun to go home. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
It would have been, damned if you do, damned if you like. He would either way. One of them are going home.
Yeah.
As a viewer of the show, though, what I always hate, though, I hate when like we see Danny like, oh, where is it? I don't see it. Where is it? And then like, they just zoom in. And for me as a fan of the show, I want to know, like, did y'all really zoom in right then and there?
No, absolutely.
Or is that just like stock footage that y'all got?
Stock footage, 100%.
But for future players,
keep looking.
And if you see this cameraman, for example,
okay,
if you're looking for an idol,
okay,
and the cameraman is 30 feet from you,
okay,
go to the cameraman.
Go elsewhere.
Oh.
If you're looking for an idol and that cameraman's right up on you, you might be onto something. I don't know. Just saying. Pay attention to everybody is playing the game of Survivor on Survivor Island, FYI.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he comes back. Danny comes back. Ricard and Heather thinks his vibe is different. Maybe he's upbeat or something. And they're like, man, we think he might have found something. You never know.
This man came back skipping though. Okay.
Why was he so happy?
And I don't know if I'm so interested to hear his exit interview, and I hope that people ask him this question. Like, did he come back upbeat? Like already playing, now I'm probably using this word wrong, but like already playing in the mantra of I want to give off that I have an idol.
I don't think so. Just having gotten to know Danny a little bit, I don't know that he has that in him as like a gameplay. I don't know that he's really thinking, how am I being perceived? Let me play the fact that I'm being perceived a certain way. I think he's just himself.
So baby boy just came back happy.
I think so. I think he was just happy. I think he was just having a good time hanging out on Survivor, and Ricard and Erica are paranoid as heck. And they just started, spinning their own mind about maybe he found the idol.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But we do get a confessional from him saying something to this, and that could have just been someone asking him the right question. But he does say but they don't know if I don't have an idol. So.
Yeah. Right. And another thing that I thought was so interesting was that, again, I have to give credit where credit is due, is that, I love the fact that Ricard picked up on that, energy shift in Danny, even though it was wrong. But,
Oh, he's dialed in.
Oh, for sure. I love the fact that he ain't have no information, no knowledge, but it was a possibility. And, what I'm learning as a third boot is that you got to consider all of the possibilities.
Right. And he created a whole vote strategy based on that possibility, right? To be able to split the votes at 6. And here, and if we could fast forward for just a second, I'm fascinated by the fact that they got Deshaun and Danny to vote for each other to achieve a 3-3 split at 6, at final 6, a 3-3 split against 2 people. I don't know that the result would have been any different, but Danny and Deshaun should have stuck together, sussed out that they were splitting the votes between them, and them two should have voted Xander to at least give Ricard, Erica, and Heather the opportunity to think about on a revote, should they take out Xander, knowing that he hadn't played his idol. That's really what should have happened. And I'm disappointed in Danny and Deshaun for not sticking together and for turning against each other, because they basically offered themselves up as tribute, essentially.
So answer me this, Jamal, though. If they put 2 votes on Xander and they were,
2 and 2.
Oh, okay. So then
it'll be 2-2-2. It'll be 2-2-2. Xander, Danny, Deshaun. And Xander didn't play his idol, so now the 3 of them can't vote. So therefore, Ricard, Erica, and Heather decide who goes. And they should have given them the opportunity to think real serious about whether it's the right time to take out Xander without having played his idol. That's what should have happened, but they didn't get there, and I wish they had.
So break the math down again for me. If it's just Ricard, Erica, Heather, and okay. I just answered my own question. All right. I'm a little slow with the math.
Yes, all right. You represent the people,
So, and yeah.
some kind of people. So next morning, everyone's sitting out looking at the sunrise. We get Erica and Deshaun walking to the water, and he proposes a final 3 to her. And this is when he plants this seed of Heather in her mind. and tries to get her to think, or Erica starts saying that her and Heather are kind of playing a similar game, and he's trying, and we've seen this strategy before where you want someone to say someone's name or get someone to talk about someone so you can then use it against them. So I think that that's good gameplay to have in your back pocket. Talk to me.
Yes, but to drop the truth bomb at Tribal.
We'll get.
I'm sorry. I keep trying to.
But go ahead. Because things got a little funny.
Yeah, they got a little funny, but I'm just saying, like, okay, so Deshaun is trying to play Erica to get Erica to say Heather's name so that Deshaun could use the fact that Erica said Heather's name against Erica, but he didn't quite play that all the way out. Like, what was he hoping was going to happen?
Right.
Like, and also, you don't use it at Tribal. You do
right. And they've been the closest two people to get, like, like they've been together this whole time. So for me, I felt like, why would he feel like they would split? That was just my only dilemma.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But still, if you're planting seeds of doubt, and if you get Erica to say, wow, we have played a similar game, I maybe I do need to distinguish myself from her. I mean, Shannon Ricard played together the whole game until it was time for them not to.
I just feel like it's very similar if someone tried to plant a seed of doubt in Deshaun and Danny. You know what I mean? Like, there's just there's levels to it. And I feel like Erica and Heather, and from this point, have been together at the bottom, that I feel like.
I got a question for you, Brice. To that, I would almost say, would you like to be the one black castaway sitting at the end on this with this jury?
I mean,
I'm just saying, as opposed to being like you and Deshaun and Danny, might it help to be one solo black castaway sitting on the end at this jury?
Sound like ching to me.
I don't know, because they could be mad at you. Like, what if Deshaun gets there now? Like,
I get what you're saying, Wendell, but as I have said about, racial alliances, I feel like they're like any alliances, where in any alliance, you kind of want to be the last one of your alliance sitting at the end, hoping that the fact that y'all have worked together and formed a bond is what's enough to give you the win. Because, and I've been on a couple of juries, I've been on a jury, and when you vote for somebody, it feels like you're voting for yourself. Like when I voted for Tommy, hate me if you want. I understand all the Dean fans are all upset about this. I get that. He's cute, whatever. But when I voted for Tommy, it felt like I was voting for me. It felt like I was voting for original Vokai. It felt like I was voting for my original alliance, right? And so you do want to be your last of the alliance at the end, because you want to tap in to that instinct, that human instinct to say, you know what, I'm gonna vote for you, because if you win, that means I kind of won too, or I like helped you win. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really powerful in a jury vote.
Totally understand that in some or a lot of cases. In this case, if Deshaun gets to the end, do you see a Shan voting for a Deshaun?
Not if Ricar's there.
True.
I question that, though. I do and I don't. I feel like that Shan meant what she in her Nene Leakes voice. I said what I said, and she'll give him the $1 million. But I would love to be a fly on the wall to know her perspective after that tribal last week.
With the whole Liana and
him actually showing his vulnerability, and him saying, like, it tore me up to play this, like it like
I see,
hated to love it, like, I'm curious to know, like, what her thought process is on that. Maybe it hasn't changed, but like, I don't know.
But she literally said he's a snake, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's harsh. Like, Shan has some survivor hate for Deshaun. I know she loves him now, But when it came time to vote, if Deshaun and Ricard are at the end right now, you really think that she left her own tribal saying, Ricard, you got $1 million. Deshaun, you're a snake. And then she votes for Deshaun instead? I don't know.
Nobody's not voting for Ricard at the end. I mean, if
right.
Ricard makes it, yeah, this is not even a quite like if Ricard makes it to the end. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Winning 3 immunities, like showing up to tribal, wearing the necklace 3 times, like come on.
And if he makes it to the end, he's gonna win another immunity because that's the only way he's gonna make it to the end.
Or win fire, yeah.
Or win
true.
Fire. And again,
no, because there's 5.
I'm just saying, like, if he wins immunity this next week, and they vote out, Erica or something, right? Then he's winning fire or winning that last immunity. Like,
right?
No chance.
When is Xander's idol null and void?
Next week. That's it. That's the last one.
So this
can only bring him to the final 4. It can't bring him to the final 3. That's fire making.
That's right.
But we don't know if fire making is in.
And Jeff just actually, that was interesting, right? Jeff laid that out for us because
what did he say?
He laid it out for us because at first when we were talking on live before, we were like, I don't know if there's a final 2, blah, blah, blah. But Jeff, right, just now in this season, in this episode, he said there's another immunity challenge, there's fire making, and then there's a winner. So he didn't leave any room for there being a final 2.
All right. There we have it. Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what else Jeff said, but I'm going to keep it going because I will keep it relevant to in order, trying to be very
okay.
Sequential.
All right, so
sequential.
Yes, sequential. So we had this conversation between Deshaun and Erica where he's trying to, sprinkle that magic on her to say like Heather's name. And it seems like he got at least the soundbite that he wanted or whatever he wanted so that he can at some point try to use it to his advantage or against Erica. Then we get to this final 6 challenge. And this was a fun one. It's one where they gotta do a lot of stuff and solve a puzzle. And I love challenges like this where there's a lot going on, and then at the end you got to solve a puzzle, which is the equalizer for a lot of people. They have to unspool themselves from this giant spool of rope, I guess, go over this obstacle course, collect these puzzle pieces, finish with the puzzle. I remember there was some spinning challenge in David versus Goliath because I just watched David versus Goliath again, and Christian he spun himself out and then he spun in the other direction. I guess maybe to get his bearings. I don't know.
That's not how that works. That's not physics.
Yeah.
No, what you're supposed to do, and I knew Ricard probably knew this because he's a dancer. You're supposed to spot. Like nobody was spotting. You're supposed to keep your head as straight as possible, right? And then when you spin around, you're supposed to put your eyes back and then spin again.
How you do it?
That's it. That's like that, Brice. You spot like this, and then you spin around and you snap that head back. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it, Brice. Just like that. Yeah, okay, Wen. There we go. No. That's it. Yes, Brice. You would have aced this challenge for real. So I think Ricard, that's why he was so good at it. Because you saw him on that balance beam, right? He was Mr. like stoic. Like he had it. So I think he spotted real nice.
Yeah. And again, Ricard, like you said, he beasted it on that balance beam. He beasted the puzzle, and it was down to him and Deshaun, 2 people that needed it, and Ricard really needed it, and he won it. So that's his 3rd individual immunity. Wow.
And when he won it, I tweeted out, I said, give him the Millie. How many? I'm in the like I'll forget how
I'm a millionaire. I'm a young man, millionaire. Nigerian, have my criteria, better, you can say, man, I'm a venereal disease, like a bitch, bleed on the bed, on the sheet, on the talent of my pockets, all right, nothing, because I don't got time, hot seconds, minutes, hours, go to the mighty power of the mighty dollar of the cha-cha, my sister, mother, son, mother, dada, mother,
But can we also just acknowledge how old that song is? Like that song, like, first of all, I just started driving when that song came out.
No, I know. I had to try to remember real hard who sang that song. That took me a second.
Yeah, I didn't even remember the song.
Lil Wayne. Wow. Damn.
Yeah, that was like 2007. Wow. I didn't even know the lyrics or anything.
Just got my driver's permit at 13.
Just graduated college.
Jeez.
Am I the old head? I'm the old head right now.
Nah, you're younger than me.
Am I younger than you, bro?
Yeah, but we're all younger than Brice.
Don't do that. Like how I just am driving and Jamal is graduating college.
What's that?
How old are you?
37.
Oh, wait to say. Oh, okay. I'm at 36. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so I'm the youngest. Oh,
we knew that. That was a given. You're the baby.
Weren't you at Brown with my friend Cara?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I was.
Yeah, Gresh. That's the homie.
Shout out to Cara.
Yeah. Actually, you know Cara, Brice.
Yeah, I know. That's why do you think I said shout out?
Anyway, so back at I would have been at Brown with you if they accepted me.
Oh,
they fucked up. They messed up.
It's the GPA for me.
That was so high on my list, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you'd have fit right in.
I went up there for my friends went there. I went there for a visit and everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, it wasn't smart enough. Anyway, so back at camp, we have Deshaun and Danny. They're sitting down. They're like, they're voting for one of us. And then they're like, how didn't they see Ricard winning? Like they took out Liana last week.
I know, that was so stupid.
And so this is what I wanted to ask y'all earlier. Like, what do you like? Because my question is like, we all see, like, we're all viewers at home. 8th period quarterbacking.
Monday morning
quarterbacking. We're all. But see, again, like I said, it doesn't matter if I got it wrong. If you knew what I meant, it doesn't matter. So if you are 8th period quarterbacking and like we all see the writing on the wall, Destiny's Child, what do you feel like the reason is? Like, do you feel like people just did not trust the Danny, Deshaun, and Liana because they were the previous people in power and they wanted to like dethrone them and like essentially like bite the nose off to despite the face?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but I see where you're going with it. So this is my take on it. I think there was another thing at play here that I didn't anticipate the last time, which is strength of alliance.
Oh,
right. So sometimes your vote is not necessarily what you think is the best for you in your individual game, but more so to solidify a group. And so we saw this happen, right? We saw Xander, Ricard, Erica, and Heather say to each other, this is my final four. This is it. We're going to the end, right? And sometimes when you're in a group like that, especially when the numbers are so low, you're kind of like voting to solidify that, right? As opposed to voting because the person you're voting out is the best thing for your game. So that's what I think happened last week. And I didn't anticipate that would be the dynamic, because that's usually an earlier game thing, right? That's usually like at the merge or like very, very early on in the game, like first, second vote of the game. It's like, let's solidify us, right? And that's what happened. They were like, let's solidify us and vote them out over there to make sure that we're tight.
And so in that mind of thinking, you're not necessarily thinking like, I can't beat Jamal.
Right.
So like, let's just, okay. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. For me, it was just like very grappling of the mind to be like, why? Because we see Erica is very aware of it. And like, you know, she asks like, should we take out Ricard at this point? And again, like I wondered if it was because like, you know, they had a reign and like, you know, every, you know, we just get tired of the people in power. And so like, we want to like, that's just what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Are they playing for second place?
I mean,
I are like, because with numbers this low, take your shots right now. Things. Yeah, I don't know, man. you gotta take your shots. And well, in this case, I mean, Ricard won, so you can't take a shot at him.
Right. But this is what I'm saying. Like the Danny vote was their version of a shot, right? Like for all intents and purposes, Deshaun should have been the one going home, right? In terms of the relationship fracturing and Erica realizing that she can't trust him, but they all made the calculation, especially at that second vote, because they tied it because they were afraid that Danny had an idol. But when they had the option, Deshaun or Danny, everybody there decided that Danny was the jury threat. Danny was the one who could beat every one of them at the end. And so they took him out. So I don't know if that was right or wrong, but that's why they decided Danny over Deshaun, because they feel like every one of them, all four of them, Heather, Erica, Ricard, and who's the last one? Xander, think that they could sit next to Deshaun and win. Every single one of them. That's why they decided Danny.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. And then I love how they were bringing up challenges, like, oh, Danny would do this and Danny would do that. I also think that it was very poignant when he revealed.
Yeah, did you ding the bell? Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. When he revealed to Deshaun that it was either them, you or I, if I'm Danny, that's Deshaun, that he was a professional NFL player.
Yeah.
And
nobody knew that though.
And no one knew that. And that's, again, for me, a long time, I'm screaming like, why are y'all letting a professional athlete get this far in the game?
They didn't know. That was never a part of his game. Never part of his game.
So, yeah. And I love that little truth revelation. But when he said that to Deshaun, me as a viewer, I'm like, oh, damn, it's one of them. Because why else? It made me feel sad. But I also want the Bears.
For a season. He's a Cowboys first.
Okay, we Cowboy fans over here.
Yeah. So he said that to Deshaun, and then in tribal, when Deshaun was like, I'm about to drop a bomb or whatever he said, I'm like, who is he about to drop a bomb on?
For real.
Is he about to throw his man under the bus so that they look at him? I don't know. I'm like, man, he's about to say something about the Cowboys or something.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what he should have done. He didn't know that it wasn't him. So so think about it this way. Deshaun voted for Danny. Okay. So that whole tribal, Deshaun's plan was to vote for Danny. So this is what I'm saying. Like you got to really get into the minds of these Survivor players based on who they end up voting for. So Deshaun, the whole time knowing that he's voting for Danny, what was this truth bomb about? You know what I'm saying? Like if he was telling Erica that Erica was throwing her name out, that should have been a strategy to try to get everybody to vote for Heather.
Or it's something to create dissension going forward.
Or maybe it's something to get a vote away from, to Danny? Put a vote on Heather, and then you still take it out. You still
voted for Danny. You know what I'm saying? Like if he was voting for Erica, then that would have made sense, because then he's thinking like, okay, Danny's going to vote Erica. I'm going to vote Erica. And now I'm going to throw a truth bomb onto Erica to maybe get Heather to vote for Erica. That would have been a sound strategy.
But I also think
voted for Danny. Like, what was the truth bomb about then?
This is probably, it leads more into the reason as to why they kept a Deshaun as opposed to a Danny. I love
it's messy as hell. Is that
not that he is messy, because I respect his gameplay, and what I can relate to his gameplay is that he is an emotional person and thinks in the moment, and is not always Monday morning quarterbacking. Well, he on front and third or second and base, and
mixing metaphors. Okay, I'm trying
he just got a first down. Okay, he's in the game.
He scored a goal. You know what I'm saying?
About to tee off.
See, the problem for me though, Jamal, is that you laugh too hard at Wendell's jokes and they're not funny.
Was he doing the backstroke? Yes or no?
I think that's right. I think he was in the back stretch is what I'm thinking.
Okay, right. He was butterflying, and I think that he doesn't always, he just lives in the moment. And so I can relate to that. And so I don't necessarily know if he had a plan. I feel like in his mind, he was like, it's going down. You got to hit him with the ...
I got a question. So in his mind, best case scenario is I drop this truth bomb and now it becomes a live tribal. And now I can politic with Heather to vote for Erica. Is that the...
That would have made sense, but he ended up voting for Danny. That's what messes it all up for me. I'm like, that would have been genius if Danny and Deshaun were voting Erica and he was just politicking to try to get just one more person to vote for Erica. But that's not what the ultimate plan was. It doesn't make any sense.
So his plan walking in, so they should have had a more solid plan walking in. He should have been like, yo, I'm dropping a truth bomb on Erica with the intention for the two of us to sway Heather to vote for Erica.
That would have been sound. That would have been like a good effort. Absolutely.
But again, I feel like that would have taken coordination. And I feel like this truth bomb came in the middle of tribal.
Nah. Like he wanted to use that.
I mean, but
he put that in his back pocket from the well. He was trying to get Erica to say Heather's name.
So he was calculating, and I do like that he did this back at the well. But I also think that you might want to have that conversation with Heather before tribal. Like, yo, homegirl's coming for you. Let's make something happen.
And use the same argument. Be like, Heather, yo, you need to distinguish yourself from Erica. People think you're one, or people are giving all the credit of all of your game to Erica. So you need to take her out so that you could have a chance to win. That is sound Final Six strategy, 100%.
And he can almost pick and choose now. If he uses the same thing against each of them and has both of them saying, wow, I need to take out this other one because they're playing my game.
And then Heather votes for Erica, Erica votes for Heather, then you're golden. You protect both Danny and Deshaun.
Unless they start comparing, I don't know, because, if they start comparing notes, then, but either way, at least you have something. So you got to try to shake things up before getting to tribal.
Right. And so like, again, think about who they voted for. So if you're in Deshaun's brain, he ended up voting for Danny. So somehow he thought 4 votes were going on Danny. Somehow. The first time. And that's not what happened. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think they had a good end strategy to how their votes were going to land.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they thought, because there's under no circumstance does Danny and Deshaun think that they're going to go 2-2 on either one of them and that they shouldn't use their 2 elsewhere.
That's my first point, is that if they thought it was going to be a tie because everyone thought Danny had an idol, then they should have took their 2 votes and put it on Xander and given Erica, Ricard, and Heather the opportunity to take the shot at Xander after he didn't play his idol. That really should have been the main strategy.
So their thought process is that it's going to be 3-1 somewhere.
Their thought process, either like, right? Like, think about it, right? Like, they didn't know who it was going to be. So they voted for each other, hoping that they were the 4th vote for each other, right? Danny tried to get Deshaun for his vote to be the 4th, and Deshaun thought that his vote was going to be the 4th vote against Danny, right? That didn't end up working out because it was a 2-2 split because they thought Danny had an idol. And if they knew that, then they should have said, great, we have 2 votes to now try to get a 2-2 tie.
But my question is this: if they're thinking 3 votes are going to one person, that means 1 vote's going to another.
Yeah.
And this other group is thinking that there's an idol in there.
Yeah.
And still their 2 votes being placed on the other people. If that idol saved those 3 votes, that person with the 3 votes, then they'd be sending someone home.
Yeah. 100%.
So they should have just went for somebody.
Yes. Agreed.
Period.
100%. And I don't like this. And this has happened a number of times in Survivor where the 2 people on the bottom turn against each other, hoping that it's the other person. That's happened a few times. And it's so unfortunate because that's, first of all, a missed opportunity for the people on the bottom to combine their votes and try to target somebody else, and a missed opportunity for someone at the top or in the majority to use those 2 votes. So imagine if Heather went to Danny and Deshaun and were like, hey, I agree with you. I need to distinguish myself from Erica. So if you guys vote Erica, I will also vote for Erica. They're splitting the votes between you 2. So our 3 votes will cancel out the 2-1 split and we'll get Erica out. That would have been epic if that happened that way. And it was a missed opportunity. It'll be a missed opportunity for someone who is not going to win the $1 million or who's going to get voted out next week, because that's what they should have done. They should have used Danny and Deshaun.
And then drop the truth bomb, Jamal.
Okay. And then Heather's playing some Survivor. And then in the finale, maybe people are gunning for Heather.
That's what I'm saying, right? And this is the thing, right? Like when you get someone like Heather, I'm gonna throw Nasir in this bucket too. They just don't think. They just don't think on that next level, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Nasir should have sniffed out that he was the target with his idol and with, you know, Shan and Nasir and Ricard against him. Like Heather should be sniffing out opportunities to lift herself up and distinguish herself. There's just this next level of calculation that people need to make at these moments. And when they don't make them, it's like, it's a missed opportunity.
And it's $1 million mistake. But again, these people are starving and, you know, you're not always your sharpest at that moment, but geez Louise, now would be the time to find whatever sharpness you have left up there to make that. So ultimately, yeah, we get 3 votes on Danny, 3 votes on Deshaun. On the revote, our guy Danny goes home.
Oh, you're wearing a Team Danny shirt. Oh, cute.
I've been wearing cute. Yeah, I've been wearing it. You know, even from our little IG live takeover earlier today, because like, you know, I'm rooting for the brother, and I could have seen a scenario where this guy wins.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the fact that he went home and the fact that they made the decision to send him home was that they saw the scenario where he could win too.
Yeah.
And then when he left, what did he say? Go Cowboys.
Yeah.
I wonder, and again, for me, I always pick up on like the random little nuance moments of Survivor. Like, I wonder if anyone in that moment was like, what did he mean by that?
I'm sure Deshaun explained it later.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this, you know, with Deshaun staying safe and Danny going home, then we are down to our final 5, which is King Ricard, Zaddy Xander, Erica, Heather, and Deshaun. And when I think about this season, when I started off this season, you know, I did like a preview of ISSA look, and I have to say, this wasn't my final 5. And I love it. Like, you know, like I absolutely love it. And I am so excited to see where this truck is taking us. Because at this point, like, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got some questions. Do you see the edit turning up for Erica right now? Is like, do we have a, can she win this thing?
Like, I love Erica. I don't know if she can win it. Only in the sense of, if Ricard is gone, then she goes up against Xander. And I don't know whether or not her resume, but her being a female, and there are a lot of females on the jury. Like, I don't know.
Erica, Xander, Deshaun.
The spirit isn't telling me it's giving to Erica it.
All right. I got another question. Did things go downhill for the camp out when they voted out Shan? Was it just like, all right, this is
1,000%? Because listen, I'm gonna say it again, and I'm gonna say it before. Whether or not they agreed with Shan, she had her head in the game. And like, I think like when we're talking through this podcast and Jamal is saying next level thoughts, and, you know, I really feel like whether or not they agree with her to get rid of Ricard, I feel like if they would have remained in power and if they could have like blindsided her by getting rid of Ricard and her not knowing, the game would be completely different right now.
We saw her, then Liana, now Danny. It hurts, man. Like, I just got 3 gut punches, man. These are my I was like, yes, one of these people are gonna win. I was rooting for him, you know. Yeah.
It hurts.
It does, but it hurts a little less when it's final 5, final 7, final 6, and it's not first, third, first, second. Like, you know, like I
hear you.
So,
they made it this far.
So here's a Survivor challenge in terms of like what's hard about playing the game. When I went out there, I was like, all right, how am I going to get people to believe me when I'm lying? Right? Because everyone's like, oh, Survivor's all about lying. It's all about trying to get people to believe you when you're really trying to play them or whatever, right? But what's the hardest thing about Survivor, now that I know on the other side of this, is getting people to believe you when you're telling the truth. That's the hard part, because more times than not, and I don't think people know this, more times than not, Survivor players are actually telling the truth. And what's hard is people don't believe you. So Shan was true. Shan was absolutely true to the Black Alliance, 100%. She wavered a little bit when she heard that Ricard was the vote, and she was saying, well, maybe we should target Deshawn. But after Ricard won the immunity challenge, she was like, no, let's stay true. Let's go Erica. She was true. And Deshawn couldn't believe her, right? Danny couldn't believe her. And so that is one of the largest challenges for any future Survivor players. How do you get people to believe you when you're telling the truth? Because if they had believed Shan, Shan wouldn't be going home. They took the preemptive strike against her because they thought that Shan was turning against them. And that wasn't true. They messed up only because they couldn't believe her. And that, I don't know what the answer is, but that's what happened.
That's the realest thing. On Winners at War, after we voted out Yule and I came back, we merged. People were like, oh no, you, Michelle, and Nick were just gunning for him. And I was like, yo, he had my name in his mouth first. It's crazy. It literally is getting people to believe the truth. That's crazy. I never even thought of that, but you're absolutely right, Jamal. Deep.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can get people to believe the truth. That next week is the final episode of this season.
Ooh.
What a historic season. We have seen some major shifts in the monster of the game. We've seen diversity at an all-time high. We've seen gameplay at its all-time high. We've seen people playing other people at an all-time high. We've seen representation at an all-time high. And I am just at an all-time high to see what next week brings. And
so are y'all watching it somewhere, or like what's happening? I don't know. Like
I mean, you know, at an all-time high.
We're watching it in Hoboken, New Jersey, right across the water from New York City. Pull up. Our venue is right at the PATH station.
That's right. Catch that 33rd Street train right underneath the Hudson River to Hoboken. I know it well. I grew up in Jersey City, so that's my home.
Yes. Oh, your old stomping ground.
Yes. Well, pull up.
Yeah.
If anyone out there is listening like Jamal that should pull up, the link is in Wendell and myself's bio. Click the link for Brice and Win Present the finale. Let's end this historic Survivor season together. I want to give a huge shout out to Jamal. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm still throwing shots fired at your way because, like, you know, you still trying to goat me, but listen, you can goat me all you want because I'm going to take that money. A huge shout out to Wendeezy. Thank you again. Huge shout out to Danny. Go the Bears.
Congratulations, sir. You played a heck of a game. I'm sure Danny said on Twitter, he's like watching, he's listening to so many podcasts right now. And so I'm sure he's tuning in here. Danny, you played an amazing game. I respect you to no end. Your story, the way you carry yourself, like, thank you for representing us, especially on a podcast like this, because you don't see this every day. Just to shout you out, Brice. Well done for putting this together. You got 3 Black men talking Survivor, Danny going out representing us. Thank you so much. You played a hell of a game, sir.
I echo that sentiment. We love you, brother. You did it. We don't see stories of Black men that lost their fathers, that forgive themselves and forgive their fathers, and we appreciate you representing so hard. So well done. We love you. We appreciate you. Can't wait to meet you.
Can't wait to meet you either. And whether or not you're going or not is still Team Danny. And that's on period. And
I'm a Giants fan, and I still support you. I still support you. It's hard.
Danny, Danny, if you're listening or watching, you see the disrespect that I gotta, like, you see the disrespect, the blatant disrespect that I gotta go for.
What's your team, Brice?
Say hi. EAGLES Eagles. But listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Purple Pants Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. The Purple Pants Podcast. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. We are there. And if you're on YouTube, don't be like Jamal and put me to the goat and make me make fire. Click the subscribe button, and we will be back next week. Brice and Win presents Lego.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind. You better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better get your snack and hurry right back.